Hey, 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 sleepy friends. It's my weekly comic book pull. The books I picked up today, Wednesday, at my comic book store. You probably aren't seeing this till Thursday or later because be posting this pretty late tonight. It's just the way things go. But I got quite a lot of comics this week and grabbed some extras. My daughter was with me at the comic book store, and to bribe her to come along with me, I said we could buy some My Little Pony trades. They're all called Friendship. This one's called There Is More Than One. So that is actually My Little Pony number 5, volume number 5. And on the back it says, I don't know, it doesn't say on this one. On the other one it says what issues it came from. But my daughter has jumped back onto the My Little Pony train. She went through a brief period of liking My Little Pony, I don't know, when she was 5 or 6. Now she's 9. We discovered there was 170 episodes on Netflix, and she's really taken a deep dive into My Little Pony and the Equestria Girls, where they're humans at a high school. She makes up her own stories where My Little Pony meets Teen Titans and things like that. We also got volume 12. That doesn't seem to have a title on it. That's a pretty cool cover. Looks like a theatrical one. This one says on the back that it collects issues 48 through 53. The My Little Pony, which came out, I seem to remember like 4 years it first came out. 4 or 5 years ago it first came out and made a big splash, and did the first issue sell 1 million copies or 500,000 copies or something crazy like that. And I guess it's still going. Exactly the kind of art us macho men would like to see. But anyway, it's a complicated enough story for my daughter. We've read Harry Potter and she's reading something called Charlie Bone, but she still likes the stuff for smaller kids. And My Little Pony has enough complexity and mythos to it and stuff like that she can still appreciate it. So any comics is good comics. I also pulled off the rack Heavy Metal. Didn't notice I grabbed a damaged copy till later. And it's a little weird, how many times have I seen this Frank Frazetta cover recycled? How many copies have I bought? Because I think I bought a magazine called Death Dealer, and I think there was a comic book kind of like Heavy Metal for a while, or maybe it was more like Epic Comics, called Frank Frazetta's Fantasy, and I had the book that this originally showed up on, or that I think it originally showed up on some paperback book. Anyhow, they're recycling it once again. Of particular interest of this issue of Heavy Metal is the return of Richard Corbin in Murky World, which I'm pretty sure he already did a Murky World series for Dark Horse. I don't know if this is a reprint or an expansion of that or what. But I think I read that he was going to be on for like 20 or 30 or 40 issues. It looks like this is maybe 8 pages. 8 pages or so. Anyway, that's interesting. And the whole, flipping through this issue looks like a lot of really good art in here. Many different styles. There is at least one in here written by Grant Morrison. There's this really creepy one called like Mouth Baby or something. I don't know if I'm gonna dig that, but it looks pretty indie in its way. So it seems like, relatively speaking, Grant Morrison, who's now the editor of this, and I guess that's partially why we're not seeing much other work from Grant Morrison, is doing a pretty good job here. Who wrote this one? Oh, that's someone named John Bivens, but that looks good. Anyway, so I keep buying Heavy Metal, reading bits and pieces of it. There was one issue I read the whole way through, I think this past summer or something, and I was going to do a video on it, and I didn't have the time. Okay, and now here are the regular comics that were on my pull list. The New Superman, number 17. I heard a rumor, one person who might be fairly knowledgeable left a comment or said something on Twitter that it's going to end with issue 18, but I'm not sure about that. I thought I saw like issue 19 in preview, so it still feels like this is coming towards a close, and I think the sales are pretty low. Although then again, as I pointed out before, the name of Gene Luen Yang on trades in bookstores could help sell this quite well. And Valiant's Harbinger is being rebooted. Harbinger Renegades number 0. I hope this is really a current thing, because sometimes my comic store accidentally gives me old comics. I don't see any date on the cover. (2017), because there is currently Harbinger Renegades, but I think it's about to be rebooted. Anyway, we'll see. It is Rafer Roberts. Juan Jose Ripe. Okay. This is why I wanted to hop onto it, because of Juan Jose Ripe and Rafer Roberts in that order. Rafer Roberts is a good writer. Oh, here's a major release this week. Mr. Miracle number 4. Is everyone still digging it? I heard so much about it with issue 1, and I haven't heard so much since. I still think it's really good. I still don't see proof that it's going to outstrip the vision for Tom King's work. But it is an amazing comic with lots of amazing stuff going on in it. And I love these covers, which are by what's that guy's name? His last name starts with a D, and now I can't remember it. He's the main artist on. I'm trying to find the credits anywhere in this stupid comic. He's the main artist on the Doom Patrol, and he's really good. I hope to see a lot more work from him everywhere. He would be great on some Tom King book. I can't find the darn credits. Oh, here they are. Nick Darrington. Got to remember that name, Nick Darrington. Sounds like the name of a character from an old book. Green Lantern and the Hal Jordan Corps. Dark Knight's Metal tie-in. I'm falling behind on reading these. I still want to read them. Definite one of the more popcorn DC series. So I want to check that out. Grass Kings. I think I'm now an issue behind on Grass Kings. Still keeping up with these amazingly good covers. Think about that, Marvel. Birthright. Oh, I'm really psyched for Birthright. Birthright is a great read every month. Great art. The covers are always less good than the interiors for some reason. But I'm really looking forward to this. The next chapter in this engrossing fantasy family story. Speaking of fantasy and family-friendly, Scales and Scoundrels, but I failed to read issue 2 yet. So yeah, the unread books are piling up. Another one, I'm falling behind on Batman Detective Comics. I think I'm 2 or 3 issues behind on this. I mean, these bi-weekly ones can really pile up. Completely caught up on Royal City. Interesting cover. This is kind of the second arc of Royal City that goes back in time to the early 90s when many of our characters were in high school. There's only been 1 issue of this so far, and I liked it, but I kind of found it jolting to move to flashback so far in time. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think it's a tragedy or anything. Then back to ones I am falling behind on. I haven't read a single issue of Ghost Money, and now we're on issue 4. I think it's a 10-issue series not from Titan, from, what's the name of this? Lion Forge, from Lion Forge. But I think I'm pretty sure it's a reprint of a European album type thing. And that's why it doesn't fit properly on the page so often. And that's sort of why I've kept putting it to the bottom of my pile. And then, so those were all on my pull. Then I picked up some comics that I had taken off my pull, but I kind of took them off knowing they were still in mid-arc, and my shop will be getting those copies they ordered for me because it takes a couple months. I always feel a bit guilty about that, particularly with my small, struggling shop. So I knew I would probably want to pick these up if they were on the racks, even though they weren't on my pull anymore. So that was Wonder Woman. I grabbed issue 33, because 32, like 31, if I got the numbers right, the first issue of this arc was pretty good. It surprised me. Written by James Robinson, great art by Pagulian. And then a different artist took over on the second issue of the arc, and the writing seemed to fall down. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to get off of this until Robinson's gone. But I might try to read out the arc just pulling off the racks. So I got 33, and then I got 34. Is this the one that had a variant that this is the actual 700th issue? I'm not sure. I'm not sure which issue is the 700th issue of Wonder Woman. That's not an attractive cover. This is now yet another artist. So every issue seems to have a different artist, and that's a very bad sign. And then I have dropped Action Comics. I just couldn't take the Oz Effect stuff, and I just feel it's going to ruin Superman even more. And yet I picked it up. I looked at the lenticular cover. Didn't work very well. Suddenly the whole lenticular technology is letting people down. So I didn't grab that. I grabbed the cheaper non-lenticular cover. This is a really weird looking Superman. He's way too wide in the rib cage. I mean, that is crazy. And he's really quite the thunder thighs fellow. So yeah, that's an odd cover. And this giant S is just too much for me. But anyway, I'll read at least one more issue of this Mr. Oz series. So that'll do it for me. I will be back in another video tomorrow. I think I'm back in the groove. You stop for a day, and then you get lazy for another day, and then you got to jump back on that horse, or it runs away on you. So the roughly daily sleepy vlogs or daily sleepy videos of one kind or another continue. I thought I'd show you guys, I've talked in other ones of the stuff about listening to audiobooks about comics and listening to podcasts. Right now on my commute, I'm listening to, let's see if that can become visible. I guess it can't. Well, on Audible, I'm listening to How Music Works by David Byrne, and it is really good so far. I mean, I'm only a few chapters in. I'm on chapter 2. I've got 11 hours and 43 minutes left to listen to, but so far it's been really good. If you were ever a fan of the Talking Heads or of David Byrne's solo work, or just kind of curious about someone who's on the more kind of quirky side of pop music and his take on music, it's very interesting. The first chapter, he talked a lot about how the venue that you play in shapes the kind of audio that you produce. Like if back when they were in an echoey church, they chose a very different kind of music than you would in a noisy nightclub, or that you would in. So he gives various examples of all the different kinds of things and how the expected venue changes your music, and how almost all composers are opportunistic towards that context of where their music's going to be performed. Although one exception he mentioned was Wagner, who actually had them rebuilt an opera house just for him so that it would fit the acoustics that he wanted. Anyway, interesting stuff. Then the second chapter is about his evolution in his musical career. So I'm in the middle of his version of the musical evolution of the Talking Heads. He only is talking about music, not about politics the interband politics or gossip or anything like that, and I really appreciate that. And I assume future chapters are not going to focus on his own career, but on other ideas he has about just what makes music work. So anyway, that's another thing going on in my boring little life. So I will find time for tomorrow. Good night.